In the last video, we have learned how to create a new project with NestJS. Now, we will take a look in detail about the controller itself. If you are familiar with MVC patterns, you will understand the controller concept without a problem. But if you are not, a controller is a layer that handles your HTTP request and response. Let's take a look at how NestJS describes controller. Controllers are responsible for handling incoming requests and also returning response to the client. We have our client. This can be either mobile apps, website, or anything that can consume our HTTP request. And the request is being sent to the controller layer. There are several ways we can generate a controller. But before we dive into that, let's try to understand a controller itself. I open up my controller file here. You can see there are several code that you might not understand. The first one is the add controller decorator. This is called a decorator. This is what defines the app controller class itself as a controller. Let's take a look and try to run our project. npm run start dev. In previous video, I showed you how to run the project, but I didn't show you how to actually execute the HTTP request. So open up your browser, type in localhost 3000 and simply press enter. You can see hello world here, but inside your controller you didn't know where the hello controller come from. What I can do is, inside my controller, I can press Ctrl and click on this .getHello method. You can see this value is being represented from here. But for simplicity, I'm not going to describe service or provider here. I will simply type in welcome hello world and save it. You can see at the bottom here we have several, at least one of the endpoint to be described here. Map empty something as get. So this one is mapping this value into our application. Previously it was hello world, and if I refresh again after the compilation, now it changed to welcome hello world. Alright, we have learned about the controller decorator. Let's take a look inside this one here. If you hover over the get decorator, you can see that route handler decorator, this one handle HTTP get. When we are developing API, we know there are several HTTP verb that we can use. For example, in this case we have get, and there are some other verb as well. We have pause to create a resource, we have put to update the resource, and also delete to delete a resource. Now this one here describe get. Maybe if I want to pause and I press tab, close this one here, and then let's say create record, then I save it. You can see that I have an error, cannot find name pause. If you are using different IDE, maybe you can use alternate and enter for WebStorm. That's what I was using, but in this case I can click on this bulb here and it can automatically detect my intention. Maybe I want to import this from NestJS command, and the errors goes away. If I hover over this, I can see the definition of it. Routes HTTP pause request to the specified path. After that, I can define put to update record, and then I click on here or press enter. It will be automatically imported from here, and I can update record. If I want to delete record, I could do the same as well. So delete record, and again this is being imported from here. There's another HTTP verb that you can use, it's called patch. we have patch here as well. So NestJS provide a number of HTTP verb that you can take benefit of, but in this video I will not explain in detail about patch. We are simply understanding about the controller itself, so this will be a good start. If I press save, I can see several method is being met. If it's being mapped to my application, I have get, post, put and delete. Now let's say if I want to print my name here, I'll use colon name and get hello with name. Normally what I will do is get welcome hello world plus the name. If I try to save, it will save, but something is not right. Let's say if I head over to this website, to this endpoint, and I type in name as Zafranuddin, it will give me internal save error. This is because I haven't declared name anywhere inside my code. Now NestJS provides a way for us to get this value here. This colon name value is Zafranuddin. Let's say I put in param, I press tab, it is being imported here again. I'll put braces here and I type in payload. Now let's try to console log this, console log payload, and for now we will disable this first. Try to save again. We see that there are new endpoint being mapped here with name. Let's head over here and press enter. Welcome hello world. I want to print something at the back. And if I look inside my payload here, that I have a console log, I have name object. I have an object with a key name. So what I can do is plus payload.name. I will save this, and then if I try to run again, it will work. Another way for us to define our parameter is using string here. Let's try to hover over this. I can define my property with string. What does this mean? Previously it was empty. If I hover over it, it doesn't accept any param, but we can see it has several overloads, and the first overload is this one. Right, how do I understand this is, let's take a look inside our payload just now. I have a name key here with value Zafranuddin, that's my name. Now this key here, that is name, I can assign it here, and I can simply rename the variable as name. Now the payload variable is now gone, but the beauty of it is I can directly call it here. Let's save it and hit refresh. It will work the same. Let's say Zafranuddin dash Zafrin, my father name. It will work the same as well. Now this way is quite useful if you have at least one or two parameter here, but if you have a lot of it, you can use payload and remove this identifier here, and it will be payload. Now that should explain some basic about HTTP GET request. But what about our other method, post, put and delete? If we are using browser like our Google Chrome here, we can simply use get. But how about post, put and delete? Now for this one, Chrome has an extension for it. I think it's called Chrome Postman, and you can use it here to actually perform HTTP requests. Now this is good if you want to get started with this, but along the way I would recommend for you to install Postman. Now Postman will handle for us our HTTP request. You can try to download this first, or you can use the extension whichever you want. But for this video series, I will use Postman. So I will close this. I believe I have installed Postman somewhere. It might not be the latest version if I'm not mistaken, but it should do the trick for now. Beside that, you can also use some curl. You can use curl, and then whatever endpoint that you want to test to. But I'm not going to use that, but you have the option if you want to. Now let's take a look here. Postman Chrome is now the Postman app. I'm not going to install the latest version. This is for tutorial series, but it is good that you install the latest version. Now let's try to look into something. HTTP localhost 3000, and if I press send, I can see my welcome hello world. Now the beauty of Postman is we can define several methods that we want. Let's say if I want to post, I click send. It's not returning me anything, but I know it's being called somewhere. How do I know? Can console.log here. I'm being called. Can save it. I can save it, and I forgot the semicolon here. And if I try to post again I wouldn't get any response here, but now see here, we can see this value is being called. The same goes for the rest. And for this video, I believe this quite cover a lot, but in details we will explore some more. In the next video, we will take a look with service. We'll take a look with service. And before I skip this video, I forgot to show you how to generate a controller. You can use several methods. First one is to write the whole thing manually. Like this one, I can write app controller, then I define the controller decorator, and also at least I have this one. As long as I have at least two decorator like this, get or post or anything, now I have a decorator. now I have a controller. Now let's create a new terminal and see how to generate a controller from NestJS. Nest provide an option to generate. If I type in Nest generate, it will list down several options of stuff that I can generate. NestGH, if I'm not mistaken. You can see I can generate application, class, controller, provider. I think service provider is the service, and for this one, the one we are interested in is the controller itself. So nest generate, or you can use nestg controller. We can type in controller or the alias of it, which is co. Nestg controller, let's call it test controller. And after some time, it will generate the file inside source test.controller.ts. It's being called here. And when you are defining your controller, you need to import it inside your module. You can see that test controller is being automatically imported here, and it is being defined inside controller key. So what this do is, this app module here will register your controllers. The first one is by default the app controller, and then the next one, which is our test controller. So even if I'm not explaining about module yet, but I believe you can start to understand a little bit by little about module itself. So this is a place where you register all of your controller, your service, and also some other thing that you want to import. Now we'll end this video here, and in the next video we will take a look into NestJS service or provider. See you in the next video. Stay tuned.